I have to make sure I'm able to see the TikTok live chat. I don't know if it's working currently. Oh, they are live. Okay, perfect. I'm going to mute this on the side, but also pull in the chat so we are good to go. I'm going to notify my friend that we are live. Unfortunately, TikTok, I am going live on the side, but the focus is going to be more on the YouTube side just because we are going to have a lot more people who already know how Meteor operates in the chat, hopefully. So we are going to be focusing more on strategies and not as much on the intricacies of how this actual platform works. So without further ado, let us get started. And yes, keep in mind, I guess if the Meteor side, if the YouTube side of things is a little bit slow, I'll have more time to answer a lot of your questions in the TikTok chat. But as far as getting started, let's just take a look at the recent runners. We had Cap, which I missed. Pump Fun Pepe is just out of this world right now. I sold a lot of my fees at 4 mil, unfortunately, but this thing just looks like it keeps getting legs. Cap isn't the worst play. I don't know the lore behind it, unfortunately. Looks like it's followed by a good amount of people. We have XXQ following. Bet against anyone with just one click. And the ticker name is good. The logo looks good. It looks like a pretty built-out product. So I'm sure this thing isn't too bad to pool, if we're being real. So, anyways, what was your best day? The best day on DLMMs are quite different than my best days trading. So best day trading, probably around like 13K. But that was back in the very beginning of meme coins when it was very easy to make money. After about June 2024, it kind of, the trenches got a little bit more Bora Aprender. Thank you, Tabajera. Welcome. You are the first comment in the YouTube video, in the YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in to LP Army TV. We are here to go over some of our strategies. And we actually have a few decent runners that we can kind of map out some ways to possibly play it. So check out the lore on Hypno. Keep hunting rugs, bro. Of course, of course. For new people starting out, what do you recommend to avoid scams? Unfortunately, we are going to focus on all of the on the Meteor strategies, so I'm not going to be able to give as many intro questions for you guys. But anyways, we can get started. I'm planning on running a few just example plays of how I might set it up and how you can stay safe if you're just new to this. So I guess we can get started on Pump Fun Pepe. Even though I sold a lot of my fees at 4 mil here and took a very decent win. So let's rewind. I made a good example of this earlier. But number one thing when you're choosing a coin to play, right? The first thing you want to look at all the time is narrative and the quality of the meme. This matters because people feel sort of a resonation or a tie to a meme. If it's a meme that has been rinsed and repeated like hundreds of times, like, you know, like the 50th dog token or the 500th dog token. What's up, Juka? Good night, he says. Good morning. Good morning for us. Anyways, going back to it. The narrative and the quality of the meme matters so much more than any price action, any volume. The price action and volume is always what I look at after I establish whether it's a quality meme or not. PFP really fits the bill. Like, it's very crazy that no one has made a meme coin of this guy besides for like 4 days ago, right? So something that maybe doesn't have as quality of a narrative, right? Let's try to find something on the homepage real quick. If someone showed me like a dog token last night, and it's just like that kind of stuff, you don't gather a cult community from a bland meme. Do you know what I mean? Like, Will. This was the one I was thinking of. Even though this chart did look good last night, it reminds me of like Billy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad. The price action and volume actually aren't bad on this chart, but it's just the 500th dog meme. So even if it does really well, this is something that I will not touch, right? When you are DLMMing and LPing, you need to select memes. You need to be very selective, especially in this market. You need to be selective with your memes, and you need to choose only the best ones. So, like I was saying, PFP was a very, very good meme. I actually saw it back here when it was pretty early. Obviously, when you are DLMMing, at least me, and I've been doing this for quite some time now, when you are doing this stuff, I don't care about the initial pump. I used to buy stuff in Ape-In and set up a two-sided pool, which some of you might know how to do. But nowadays, it's way more risky because you don't know. A lot of these coins are dying way quicker. A lot of them rug way lower than they used to rug. So when it comes to a coin like this, I'm going to watch it on the way up. Oh, it's getting very good volume, very good meme. I kind of want to bid this, right? So I forget when it was. It was somewhere along this part of the chart, right? Let's pretend that the chart is over here. Now it's at 2 mil. I know that these things can rug very, very low. They can go lower than you would ever imagine. They can literally go down to 30K. And that's just how the market is right now. They can go down to 30K. So when you are setting something up on a coin that you do want exposure to, just go way wider than you would usually go. 85% is a good marker to start. Recently I've been going like minus 90%. I forget what I did exactly on this. Actually, we can go look because I still have the position open. So we can actually map this out perfectly. So it was 9.8 to 9.8, as funny as that is, but that's actually very easy to map out. So we're gonna go here. If you guys don't know this, this is actually some good content you can take away if you are just getting into DLMMs, if you've just finished the LP Army Bootcamp. One thing to note is that obviously Meteora sets up their positions in terms of Sol. The denomination is in Solana. So if you want to match that on the chart, just go up here, go to price, and go to Solana. Now everything is going to correspond with your price range on Meteora. So what did we say it was? 9.8 to 9.8. So 9.8 all the way down to, chop off a decimal, 9.8. So roughly, we can go up a little bit higher actually. This was basically my range on PFP, right? So even though we started seeing a lot of death here, like at this point in the chart, you imagine if your range was a little bit higher, right? Because a lot of people try to, when they first get into DLMMs, they try to they try to be perfect in their ranges, right? They want to guess the exact bottom. That is a very, very hard thing to do. Very, very hard thing to do. You're never going to be able to guess the exact bottom. I mean, actually, you can get away with it, but there are going to be times when you go tighter and you're going to get burnt. Because think about it. If I set my range just right here, my rules make me sell when it gets out of range. Number one, risk management is always key. I know I'm just going over a lot of different things, but I'm trying to introduce you to how I play things. So let's say this thing drops out of the bottom of my range. You are now in deep trouble because you are holding this token. You are no longer earning any fees. And now your option is to hold and pray or sell and take the loss. Sell and taking the loss is usually the best option. I'm going to say it always is, just for the sake of keeping your discipline in check. But the problem with having such a tight range, if you go down maybe 50%, is now that you sold and now it pumps all the way back up. This whole thing could have been avoided if you just made a very wide range like we are doing. You are not going to technically earn as many fees as you would as if you went tighter, obviously, but when you are starting to learn how to trade these memes, and especially I emphasize this in this market, you are going to always want to go wider. So you can see how wide this range was. It was roughly 90%. This was able to yield me I mean, granted, I was able to sell the fees at 4 mil, so that was a larger return than I was expecting, right, on a 100 on a 5 SOL investment. But that is just like a picture perfect play of how something can work. Now, moving on from this initial play that worked out very well, right? It bounces, gets all of this movement, good movement, good movement, good movement, pumps all the way back out of range. That is always going to be the ideal situation, right? When you set up a pool, you do want it to dip and come all the way back up. But let's pretend for a second that something like this doesn't happen. Let's pretend right here. Let's pretend right here that the coin continues to fizzle down without any bounces. This is not an ideal situation. Here, we'll make it a little bit more realistic, something like this. This is not an ideal situation. You are going to want to cut the loss here. And that's just how it goes. Sometimes when you are LPing, you have to take a loss. But if you are new to this stuff and you don't really know where your profit is, you don't really know when you're going to be in profit, keep in mind when it dumps down, instead of doing this, let's say it fizzles down and just gets one spike to right here. At this point in the chart, let's say this little point is where the chart is at. At this point, you're going to be in profit, most likely. So all you really need is, if you're getting a big dump, all you really need is one good bounce and you should be in profit. Sometimes it doesn't always work out like that, but just keep in mind that is usually how it works. The only time you get really, really, really screwed is when it fizzles down with 0 bounce. That is never good. PFP going to 100 mil, so I'm going to check chat real quick. What's good, Vinny? First problem, you're going for pairs on deck screener, financial frenzy. Unfortunately, you have no idea what we're on right now. Alright, I really can't pay too much attention because I'm trying to get a lot of lessons going on right now. Anyways, I hope that makes sense to you guys. So, like I said, my strategy mostly what has allowed me to be consistently profitable over a year, and obviously I've adjusted my strategy, but I almost always, 99% of the time, just go bid side, bid ask pools, right? You can get fancy. PFP I didn't get fancy on. You can see I went entirely bid ask, but sometimes you can get fancy and you can add in a little bit, you can layer on a little bit spot. So what does that mean? This is actually very close to being not good, but I've made so much in fees that it really doesn't matter what happens to this position. But anyways, I think I started this with 10 Solana, so I'm down 3 Solana in impermanent loss, a little bit over 3.15 in impermanent loss. And that just happens because the price goes down, the pool depreciates in value, right? But my point was, on this position, I put in 10 SOL, but I'm pretty sure I went 7 SOL bid ask, right? Once I opened my 7 SOL position, I added 3 more in spot because I'm very confident in this position. So that is an option to do. I would say if you are just starting, if you've just finished the boot camp, just go bid ask to start. And go very wide, because you don't have to make $1 million on your first LP. You don't even have to make 20%. You don't even have to make 10%. If you can just see how the bins move over time, over a few hours, over a day, over minutes, that is very, very beneficial for you to just get a feel before you start throwing in more size and trying to get more specific with your ranges. So that is the number one thing I will go over. PFP, unfortunately, I guess I can give an example on this, and we can throw a pool together, I guess. I'm actually going to keep this because we can reference this range for later. But we're going to switch to market cap just for the sake of ease. So PFP is a very good runner. I don't think this thing is going to hard rug to 100k. I don't think this thing is going to hard rug to 500k. Not yet, at least. It's still getting a lot of volume. We were yet to see. I was really curious to see what it did today. I didn't know if it was going to just kind of fade down, find some support, and survive, right? But whatever happened, I'm not sure what the news was, but we had a massive, massive buy orders come in. So this is giving me more confidence. The only issue I see with this play is that I'm sure that the pool on Meteora is very, very diluted. Now, what does that mean? Sorry guys, TikTok chat. I'm live on YouTube right now, going through the LP Army. Here, I'll show you what it looks like if you guys want to drop in and subscribe. This channel is more for people who know what Meteora is already, how to use the software and stuff. But feel free to drop them a subscription. They are very, very, very useful when it comes to, I mean, they're the official community of Meteora, so they're never going to lead you astray. They have good content on their YouTube, so go ahead, check them out. Join the Discord, follow them on Twitter. Like I said, almost everything I do on the TikTok channel is related to Meteora meme coin trading. Chukabala. I'm going to have to start translating some of the messages on YouTube. Here, give me 1 second. We can respond at least to some of the comments we're getting on YouTube. Bora Apparender. Learn. Like it says it should be translating, but it's not. Jukabala. From Filipino. Brother. Bother. I don't really have a response for those, unfortunately. YouTube guys, feel free to send more stuff in whatever native language. I can translate it, no problem at all. Do you use rocket scan or do DAMM? Oh, Miles is actually a ball knower. I mostly do DLMM. I did DAMM and was actually pretty successful with it for a bit. I just fell out of it because DAMM, you usually are needing to pay attention to new pairs, and I'm honestly not as good with new pairs. Top is in, though, doesn't get bigger than Mexi and Elon. I would argue that no one really knows where the macro direction of the cycle is going. Anything can happen at any time. I never really think it's too smart to try to predict stuff. I mean, Bitcoin looks like it has a full head of steam. But regardless, I'm not here to give you opinions on what my long-term thoughts are. I am just here to show you my strategy on trading these meme coins. So, let's say we're just going to set something up. We are actually going to close out of this previous position that we are in on PFP. We managed to earn a decent bit of fees, not all that much. I could have held way longer, but still a good return on a 5 SOL deposit. Regardless, we are going to close and we are going to start something new on this one. Don't follow me. This stream is for educational purposes only. Anything I say is not a buy or sell recommendation. I'm just trying to get you to kind of see how you can play these A+ coins, because number one, you need to find a token that is actually good. Number two, you just need to set up your range correctly. That's all you really need to do. Number one is normally the hard part. Finding a good coin to LP is always going to be the hard part. Do you like buy, Sol, and Phantom and then go into this site and trade? Yes, that is basically what you do, correct. So after you buy your Solana, obviously you can transfer it to whatever wallet you want. You can use Phantom, you can use Solflare. There are a few options. If you want to keep it simple and follow the herd, just go Phantom, make it easy. And then you're going to go on Meteora, meteora.ag. You can see their emblem here. They have a very popular Twitter. They are basically ran by the same people who run Jupiter. Very, very, very beneficial platform. It shocks me that veterans in this space don't know how to use this platform, because it is just so advantageous. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're in meme coins and you don't know how to use this. So, without further ado, let's just plan out, let's kind of scope out what we might want to set something up like. So on PFP, this thing is basically straight up. It hasn't had a very, very intense correction. This red we see here is actually looking like the deepest red candle we've seen on this whole run-up. Maybe right here and right here, obviously. The blood back here was, I'm sure, shook a lot of people out. But you can see something's happening here. It's looking like it might crack this recent support line, right? So you have to keep in mind, technical analysis, blah, 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 right? A lot of people don't really believe in it. It's not the end all be all, but you have to understand that technical analysis is due to human psychology. Do you know why that is? Because think about it. Think about it in terms of support and all-time high breaks. That's the easiest way you can think about it. Think about it right here, right? This is the local resistance line. As soon as it breaks this resistance, people don't know how high it's going to go. This is when euphoria kicks in. People are just clipping in. Conversely, it set a recent low here, right? Because after it breaks out of this, it has a new range to establish. You don't know what the lows, you don't know what the range is going to be. After it has established, right, it hit this little point. It's looking a little bit scary, right? Imagine you bought in right here. Imagine you bought in right here spot. And now it's testing this recent low. If it cracks hard and a lot of people sell, you are going to be panicking because you're like, fuck, it just broke this recent support line. So, technical analysis is not end all be all, but it does matter because it literally is human psychology. Anyways, let's say we're trying to anticipate this dip. We are going to set up a range. I mean, I don't think it would go lower than 1 mil, but we could honestly, in this market, just be safe and go like 700K or something. I'm not sure I'm not really sure what that is percentage wise, but we can kind of guesstimate. I know this is super, super wide, but if you're just getting into this stuff and you want to just test it out, just make your range very, very wide. Make your range very, very wide. So, how are we going to set this up? I'm just going to make it very simple. We're just going to go 5 sol, bid ask, and we are going to drag this percentage out to 90%. I know, it's very wide, very, very wide. Very, very wide. But I don't care because this is what has been working for me recently. PFP will go to 1 billion. Billion is a very, 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 very high expectation. I'm not going to say no, it's not, because you never know. But maybe we need to get a little bit more rational with our price targets. Thank you, guys. I'm so sorry I'm not paying attention to the TikTok chat. I just want to make a very good impression on this YouTube that I'm live on, because they're not like my superheroes, but that's the one platform, the one team that I look up to in this space is Meteora, and they are finally hosting me, so it's very, very cool. And I'm trying to, even though there are literally 3 comments in the YouTube chat, so I definitely can pay attention to TikTok more. But anyways, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is Gem. I hope you guys learned something from that explanation. I'm going to go into a few more lessons in just a bit while I take a look at chat. I'm sorry, my channel is, you can take a look. I try to give you very intro crypto information, but like I said, I'm going to skip over some of the basic questions just for tonight. Usually I'll take the time and answer them, but I do want to focus, like I've said a million times so far already, on Meteora. So we're going to take another look around at some more tokens, CAP, and then we're actually going to take a look at some of the recent runners of today, which I have not looked at. I'm going to open this on a different tab so I don't get doxxed. And we're going to see if there's anything running quickly that we might be able to make a few bucks on. Keep in mind, guys, I usually don't play early tokens. This DLMM strategy on Meteora, I usually find tokens that I can actually have some confidence in, right? Like a lot of the good memes actually have had their run, they last for a month and they die to 0. That's normal. But if you can find a meme that lasts longer than 2 or 3 weeks, that is usually a good DLMM to be in. And as long as it's not super, super high. Super, super diluted, I mean. So we're going to take a look and just look at some of the recent graduates. They don't look good. They don't look good. And the thing is like all of the ones that are paid decks, I can just kind of glance at and tell very quickly whether it's something that's worth looking at. So we're just gonna, there's not too many of them. We might as well just open them all and just take a quick glance at all of them. That's some good tracking. I don't even need to open the cap ones. Okay. Garbage. Obviously we're not touching that. That's a complete farm. Garbage. That's a complete farm. Like, okay, so we are already 0 for 3 on graduates, paid Dex graduates. Who is buying this? I'm sorry. Really quick lesson. If you see a derivative of a popular meme, don't buy the token. Don't enter a pool on it. Don't buy the token. Like, Pump Fun Floki. Literally, like, who is buying this? Ask yourself, are the holders of this coin, are they emotionally tied to this meme? No, they're not. It's a Pump Fun Floki. Like, it's just another watered down derivative. Like, stay away from these. Stay away from these. You want something very original. FC Barcelona official, there's no way it's official, right? Like, no. And the chart is looking a little bit sus. Garbage. We're really just not getting anything on the new pairs. That's okay. This is why I stopped looking at these. Like, I stopped looking to play new things, and I only really play things when I am seeing a lot of alerts go on. Like, a lot of people in group chats are talking about them, because look how bad. This is the only one that has some resemblance of a real looking chart, but even this, like, doesn't look real to me. Doesn't look real to me. Actually, it looks like it actually rugged to 0 and then is kind of getting some life, so this might get a pass, but again, it's not A+. It's not something I'm going to pool, not something I want to be a part of. No. It's just the Sora AI beta. Like, no. Cap is the only one that is surviving, it looks like. Good night from Brazil Crime. Good live, my bro. Azuko, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I'm sorry I do not speak Portuguese or Spanish, because it looks like that's what most of the audience is. But thank you. I hope you took something from that. Honestly, you can take away from this live, if you walk away from, I need to go wide range in this market because of how low things rug. I need to go wide, and I need to be patient and choose good memes. If you just do those two things, you should be able to be profitable if you're disciplined and everything else is in check. You're Send It. I'm sorry, bro. I know you're in chat. I've seen your messages, but I haven't been able to read. I was really hesitant. It's funny. The one time I'm not looking at TikTok chat is when it's popping off. So thank you guys for being here. I'm serious. If you send me a DM, I try to get back to everyone, as long as it's a decent question. But thank you, Azuko. Thank you. So anyways, we've set up our range on Pump Fun Pepe. Like I said, if you're just tuning in, we are in this back here. We are in this way earlier back here. But we were able to sell our fees at 4 mil. Obviously, it would have been ideal to keep it because it went to 8 mil. But now it still looks like it has some life. So we're going to just keep an eye on it. Have some exposure if it goes down. Cap. It's really the only other play we can really look at. Drop a heart, me. I'm uncultured. What is this? So this is, I consider it trading meme coins, but basically we are entering liquidity pools through the Meteor platform, and I consider this a advantage way to trade meme coins, right? Because you risk way less, and even though the gains might not be as instant and as gratifying, over time, this is a very, very, very wise thing to be a part of, because you are able to grow your stack slowly, and you are able to manage risk in a much easier way. If you are trading a meme coin spot and it goes down, here, I'm going to give you guys an example. And I'm sure if you're tuned in on the LP Army YouTube channel, you've heard this and you know this a million times, but I'm just saying this for common knowledge. Let's say you buy a token right here, right? Let's say you buy that 142K. When it goes down, you are completely exposed to loss, right? There's no benefit in the coin going down. You only want it to go up. But with my strategy, or it's not my specific strategy, it's the one I use, and it's the one a lot of other people that are veterans in the Meteora and DLMM space do. They just set up one-sided pools, right? So now, let's say the token goes up. Nothing happens. Whatever money you deposited into this pool is not going to get touched. You're not going to gain. You're not going to lose anything. No skin off my back if it goes up, right? But if for some reason the token fizzles down and gets a bounce and stays in this range, this is where you were able to profit. And just because of that, makes this platform so advantageous, because when it goes down into your liquidity pool, you're getting fees. And all you need it to do is dump a little bit deep and get one bounce. On this one bounce, you should be profitable. So instead of buying the token and the chart ends up doing something like this, instead of buying the token and being down here, if you set it up on Meteora, you're actually going to be in profit here. Good night, Alexander. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Alright, looks like some people are, it's either hit their bedtime or they're losing interest, so we're going to go over maybe a different example. So, I'll give a good example, even though it's not, it's getting a little bit sketchy right now. Hutch, as you can see in my portfolio, this has been a very, very long-term meme coin pool for me. I did start with 10 Solana, keep in mind. So I'm not in the best situation right here because it's very, very close to the bottom of my range. But because the chart did something like this, it does not really look that good. I know. I should have probably gotten out on this spike, and I was debating it, but I just like this project so much, and I'm not trying to shill anything. I'm not going to tell you to buy this, but the tech is very cool. If you played CS2 and you're into the skin game, you know how cool this tech is. Not only that, but look at this chart. Look at this 1 hour chart in terms of price action. This is so ideal for LPing because of all the movement up and down. This is something in consistent volume, right? Volume not very good today, 76K. So not a great example on that. But you see how it comes down, has a bounce up, comes down again, has a bounce. Like, this has been a very, very A+ play. So that's just kind of an example of something that ended up working out very well just because of the quality of the project and how good the price action is. And not only this, but as you can see on the token page, I've already claimed, oh, that's actually not that much. I've already claimed $400. I thought it was way more than that. I think I maybe held a little bit higher, which is why it seems like more. But I've already claimed $400 from back here. I was actually LPing this all the way back here, believe it or not. So, when you find a good project, you can, right, you're LPing here, you're LPing here. I sold my fees at like 2.7 mil right before it fucking pumped to almost 12 mil. It sucks I sold here, but because I still have eyes on this project, I can rebid it and take advantage of this entire price range. Pump Fund Pepe, yes, everyone's talking about Pump Fund Pepe. We just went over an example. What if it goes below the range? Good question, good question. So, what if it goes below the range? If it goes below the range, then you are in trouble. If it goes below the range, it is up to you to go ahead and sell the token. Because my number one rule, and I actually haven't been following this very well recently, I guess we can go over some of my losses. I'm actually down probably, I'm down a little bit more actually than I'd like to admit, but down about 6 Solana in the past week, just because I got rugged on Kitty, which was kind of, it was avoidable, but it was also unavoidable because I didn't know that they were having a token migration. So I got cooked on this. This was like, look at this price action previously, right? This is extremely good price action in a very good range, consistent volume. Everything was A+ here, and then they apparently had a plan to migrate their token since long ago. So that was a 4 soul loss. I'm not going to beat myself up too much about that because there's pretty little I could do other than following them on Twitter. But regardless, yes, I'm down recently. But in terms of picking myself back up and just doing the same thing, I'm not worried about making the money back at all, because this has been rinsed and repeated by me over 1,000 times. Literally, I've entered thousands and thousands of positions like this. So I know that if you're patient and you don't blow yourself up on a very bad trade, you're going to be able to get it back. Okay, 1 second. Please feel free. Anyone in the LP Army YouTube, please give me questions or take a request just so we can give a good explanation for you. I will be right back. Right back. Dude, this music is like honestly not good. I tried to find non-copyright music for the YouTube stream, and it's like kind of like the Rick and Morty elevator music. It's just not very engaging. But in no way, shape, or form would I ever want to get the get the LP Army YouTube channel copyrighted. So we're just keeping it mellow for tonight. And I'm sorry, TikTok chat. I know you guys have probably been blowing me up with stuff. I promise, I usually respond very, very quickly. But just for tonight, we are unfortunately not paying attention. Didn't realize this guy said PFP. Oh, you have it pulled up. Nine watching on the YouTube, it seems. So welcome if you're on the LP Army channel. I just went over a few examples of how I might use my strategy in this market on some recent tickers. And it's really looking like PFP and CAP are just the main runners. There's not too much else to look at. Ooh, interesting question. How much do you think the Jupe holder will get from the airdrop? I have no idea. I have no idea how much I'm getting. You trade high market cap only. Kind of. There are exceptions where I'll go into maybe a 200 or 300k market cap coin. Kind of a good example of something that I usually wouldn't touch, but I did like because it was a decent meme in my head, was SLVR. This thing ended up rugging to 0. But this whole initial move in range is like fucking, it's like beautiful, right? Because I ended up entering right here, right? As soon as I started seeing this little breakdown, I entered a range that covered very, very low. I think it was like 685 down to 50k, right? This range is going to pay you very, very well. And it paid me very, very well. Just being in this and having these price movements up and down. So why is this different? Sorry, I need a spitter. Why is this different than a lot of other memes? Because of the quality of the meme. This was going viral on TikTok. This was going, hey Crime, you always do 90% one-sided bid ask. Leo, back in the day, I used to go like closer. I used to go maybe 75%, 82%. But nowadays, dude, it's like everything. If you want to be in something for a long time, you really need to cover very low. So as of maybe the last month or two, I do go minus 90%, usually every time. And it's just, let's say you didn't get out at this pump, which is most likely what you should have done just because you got your move. You could have taken your profit. But let's say you stayed out even past there. Right here, you should be scared, right? If you go 90% and it's getting close to the bottom, you should be scared here. But not only that, being minus 90% on this chart is going to allow you to still be profitable on these pumps right here. So that is just why I think that's the best. I think it's the best method right now, especially if you're just getting into it. Even very good meme coin traders, I guarantee you a lot of them are going to struggle with guessing the bottom of coins right now, just because of how everything is. Now, Solana is pumping, Bitcoin is pumping. I assume that the trenches will start heating up soon. Yo, what's up, Radish? Meme coins are a scam. Yeah, they are, but I've been feeling that in recent months. It's been harder to be profitable in the DLMM pools compared to the beginning of the year. Have you seen a change as well? 100%, Karina. 110%. So, I'll give you a quick story. So, I'm not sure if you can see it on screen. My claim to fame, not claim to fame, but like the reason I think I have credibility to teach is because I've grown this account from, it was actually 1.5 SOL. It was not 1 SOL. 1.5 SOL. I started on August 1st of last year. When I first started, I could get away with minus 50%, minus 60% ranges, no problem. In addition to that, 90% of plays, I would be in and out within less than 2 days, maybe even a few hours. I used to be always on quick plays. If something was getting a bunch of volume, I'd be like, I need to pull it. As soon as, I don't know if this is actually true, but it felt like as soon as Pump AMM came out, it felt like the fees got way worse. I'm not sure why, but the risk reward for being in new coins dropped drastically for me personally. So I noticed that after the Libra. So in the period of post Libra until mid-April, beginning of May, I was unprofitable or flat. My portfolio stuck around the same number, and I was like, dang, like, I don't know what to do. The good thing about that time is that I wasn't gambling more size than I should have. I recognized that my strategy wasn't working as well. So my usual method of going in and out of plays, taking my profits, converting back to SOL, moving on to the next one, stopped working as well. So mid-May, I started to transition to longer-term pools in meme coins that maybe had more staying power. And one example I would give recently is the OG67. This obviously looks dire right now, but you can see once we spotted this back in April, I knew that this coin, because of the narrative it had on social media, that this was something that probably wasn't going to die instantly. So you can see I kind of drew out where I was in a pool for. I was only in a pool for a little bit, but I was able to hold the fees after it came back up and held for longer. So yes, answering your question, Karina, I've been feeling that in recent months. It's been harder to be profitable in the DLMM pools. Agreed. And it really boils down to, I used to chase volume and I used to chase fees. Now I just chase a coin that survives. And many people might tell you something different, but that's just what's been working for me. That's how I've managed to stay profitable in the recent months. Everyone in the TikTok chat is defending me. There's a bunch of questions. Okay, how would I lose money in my strategy? I'll go over this real quickly. So how would you lose money? This is the range we just set up on PFP, right here. Something around this. Let's say that the coin does something like this, right? It comes down and it kind of fizzles to zero. This is something where you are most likely going to lose money. Now, you decide how much you lose based on how good you are at cutting losses. Once it gets out of your range, you need to be able to just take the loss and move on. I've actually been struggling with this lately. It's like the number one thing I teach, and I haven't been following it as well because I've been looking for a lot more home runs recently for whatever reason. But anyways, if you want to grow your portfolio, you have to cut losses when you get out of range, no matter what. Let's say it does something like this, comes out of your range, you cut it right here, and then it bounces. Like, this has happened to me so many times, and it sucks. It sucks to see this happen. But you're going to be able to live to fight another day if you're able to adopt that mentality. Now, let's say something happens, like the coin comes down to here, gets a bounce, something like this. 99% of the time, if you set up the range like how I did with mostly bid ask, you're going to be in profit here. So that is a check mark. Ideal situation is it comes down, gets a bounce, comes down, bounce. It bounces hella, and then comes back up. That is a plus scenario. Very rarely do you, I shouldn't say very rarely, but you can't expect that every time. You need to be prepared for sure for these two scenarios. Is becoming a millionaire by day trading even real? Pandu. I guess we can take a look at Pandu. Pandu. It's gonna be hard. A lot of people that say they become millionaires day trading are lying to you, and they're just trying to sell something. But I know a lot of people who have done it, so I'm not gonna say it's impossible. Very interesting play on Pandu. Very, very, very interesting. It's like something is happening where people are just adopting the quote, because back here, I'm not gonna lie, back here, when I was seeing this volume and this price action, I called this noisy volume. And it happens when a lot of the volume bars form like a very straight mound. I'm going to try to give you maybe a difference. So on PFP, I'm going to show you something what noisy volume doesn't look like. Do you see how legit this all looks? Because big spike drops down, big spike drops down, spike down, compared to, do you see the difference between these volume profiles? Do you see how noisy, I call it noisy, I keep calling it noisy, but do you see how grouped together the volume is? This gives me kind of a red flag, but obviously it's not a perfect science because this thing ended up running. But I'm just going to give you an example. Like, I didn't touch this at the beginning because of this volume, and the meme wasn't bad, right? It's kind of a Pengu beta, not bad. They have NFTs, they have a really built out site, so I see why it ran. But I'm just saying, when I'm looking at things, this gave me a red flag earlier. That's why I didn't get in. As opposed to something like PFP, where the volume looks way more legit. I feel like TJR is a marketing game. Dude, TJR is like the best marketer. And he's a personality, so like he just gets all of the clout. And yep. I guarantee 50% of his net worth is not from trading. Or even more of it, so. That's all I'll say about the influencers for now. Again, not really what the stream is focused on, but good conversation for sure. BNB is where it's at until it's not. I think Solana is always going to reign king in terms of meme coins and new tech being built. And a main reason is because of Meteora and everything that's all the tech that's being built. PooCoin, we were looking at PooCoin last night. We can take a look. And also, I want to see what Sora did. A lot of people were showing Sora the other night. And I see why it might have had some legs, but it looked kind of bundled to me. Not bad. It's actually starting to look a little bit better on this downturn. But I didn't really like... There was something I saw that made me not love it. The thing is like, even though bubble maps you can see this, like, you don't really know, because people can fund wallets from exchanges and you'll never know that they're linked. Like here, obviously this is linked, they transfer tokens, but when it comes to someone wanting to be very discreet, you never really know. The bubble maps is never going to be a clear-cut answer for you whether a lot of the supply is controlled. So that's kind of a good thing to know. YouTube viewers, LP Army viewers, do you guys have any questions for me? I think we kind of went over. So, am I missing anything, guys? Sora, PFP, and Cap. Those are really the main runners I'm seeing right now. I'm still in Hutch. Let's see what else. Lion's not doing awful. It's not doing great. Troll is a very, very long-term pool I've been in. I think I've been in this for almost over a month, maybe coming up on 2 months, and it's not the best pool. It's not the worst pool. You can see I'm not getting as much in fees because of how diluted it is. There's so much TVL in this pool that I'm not going to get a big share of the fees. But it's an established meme. It's one of the more established memes that I'm willing to be a part of and have exposure to. So that's why I am currently in Troll. Hasn't been doing terrible. Obviously, I'm pretty profitable in this position. Can I quit my job in lick pools? I would not recommend that. I would not recommend that. You can be consistently profitable, but it's not something where it's going to substitute your income unless you already have like 6 figs, you know what I mean? Nub is the biggest cat problem. What color is your Lambo? It's non-existent. Hopefully Lambo in the next year. You don't. So one thing I will say to the TikTok viewers is that 99% of the time I'm not making these pools. I think it costs around 0.21 SOL to make a liquidity pool, but usually if a token is getting a volume and it's worth it for me to enter, there's usually already a pool made. So I'm just entering pools. And I kind of gave you an example of how you can lose money. Like, for example, if my pool spanned from here to here and it drops down and drops out of the range without giving me a real bounce, that's how you lose money. And even though you're going to lose money, when you set up a pool like this, you're going to lose exponentially less. You're going to lose exponentially less than if you just were playing it like a normal meme coin and buying it here, maybe DCAing in, because Meteora allows you to collect fees on the way down. The only thing is, if a chart has something like this where it fizzles out to 0, you're not going to most likely make enough fees on the way down to completely offset your loss. Lambo only after TGE. Let's hope. But anyways, yes. So you're not always 100% going to be right, but by using such a wide range, you can definitely be right more times than you're wrong. And on these few times that you are wrong, your discipline and mental fortitude as a trader is going to be tested. That's why when people say they're LPers or yield farmers, I agree, obviously. But you are a trader at the end of the day because you're putting in money, you're managing risk, right? Let's see. Can we find another token to give a good example on? Can we find one? Like I said, Sora isn't bad because all of the AI videos are popping right now. It's not a bad narrative, and I think we saw something similar happen with the Sam Altman one was a little bit worse. To be honest, the Sam Altman AI ticker was not. I didn't touch it. I assume it rugged to 0. PooCoin, I don't love the price action and volume, even though this probably would have been not a bad pool to be into. You have to keep in mind, I usually am not going to enter even B-, B+ plays that I see. In this market, I'm really waiting for A+ plays, and I'm trying to be as selective as possible, which is why we've spent so much time looking at PFP, because everyone and their mom knows about this one. What tools do you use to spot good pools, TVL and volume? Interesting question, because I think I differ. Can you set a stop loss? Radish, you cannot set a stop loss currently. I know Meteora is working on implementing a stop loss, which would be huge. Something I've been looking for a while. But not having a stop loss is going to, or not having a stop loss on the software is going to improve your discipline. If you're able to cut the loss, so let's say this drops down out of range, what I'm going to do in that case is I'm going to withdraw, close position, withdraw it, and then go on Jupiter and I just swap it. I just cut the loss. Anyways, Leo, what tools do you use to spot good pools, TVL and volume? Back in the day, I used to have a scanner that I would check every single morning, and it would look something like this, right? minimum 10k liquidity, whatever. 100k market cap minimum, 40 mil to eliminate all of the farms. Pair age 36 hours, 24-hour volume, 200k. And I would just use something super simple. I would just look on Dex Screener, and then I would just look at all of the Dex paid ones. But you have to keep in mind, as of recent, I don't play new pools that much. I really don't. So my scanner right now, as dumb as it sounds, is just social media. What meme is very active on social media, what meme I'm seeing in the group chats I'm in, and also my personal disposition to the meme, how much I actually resonate with the meme, because you know, something that's popular, like what was it, Will, like the Will ticker. Even though this checks the box on volume and price action, I don't resonate with this meme. So in terms of scanners, like, I know my friend Yield Phantom, Will, I'm sure you guys might know him. He's one of my best friends. We've been LPing together for over a year now. We've grown our portfolios together. He is always looking at scanners and looking at stuff. I am mostly hands off right now. When the trenches start heating up again, I'm going to use the scanner to look at new pairs. But right now, I'm just hands off. If I see something, I'm either seeing it in a group chat, whatever. I'm seeing it on social media. That's really how I decide what pools to get into. That's why PFP was such an easy decision, because I liked the meme. I knew it hadn't been done before. It's original, right? So quality of meme is really the main indicator for me, as opposed to TVL and volume. Now, I will say that TVL does matter, because it can kind of tell me when something's a little bit too late to get into. Like something like USDUC might actually still be a good pool to be in, but you have to realize that this chart this coin has existed for so long that the TVL on the token is probably astronomically high. So on something like Troll, for example, even though I'm still in this, I don't love all of the TVL in it, because that just means I'm going to get a way smaller share in the fees, because I'm sharing it with so many people. Check 19. Okay, I guess we can look at some tickers. We kind of got some. Does that answer your question, Leo? I hate to give you such a bad answer, because realistically I probably should be giving out tools. And in Soul Meteor, Meteor.ai is a great one. But in terms of actual, I gave you the filters I use to look for new pairs, and just right now in this market, I'm just waiting for plays to come in front of me. I'm not actively seeking them out per se. Brother, you look like better version of Kevin De Bruyne. Thank you, dude. You earned yourself a follow for that. Wait, Mero, were you the one that was asking me for Solana in my DMs? I'm sorry. I don't have enough money to give out free Solana right now. Maybe hit me up after the 23rd of October. You did a one-sided bid ask on PFP, right? What do you want it to do now? Good question, Becca. That's a very good question. So, what do we want on PFP? I drew out a couple scenarios of what could happen, right? Obviously, this first scenario, Obviously, this first scenario of when it goes down and fizzles out to zero is something we do not want to happen. This second scenario where it comes and bounces here, good scenario. I'll be happy with this. I don't think it's going to happen, because I think we're going to get a lot of bids before, and I wouldn't be shocked to see something like this happen. Something like this, let's say it dips down a little, hangs around here and bounces up and goes higher. This isn't terrible. We're not going to make very much money on this, but that's okay, because we're not trying to make money. We're not trying to make a ton of money on every plays. Our main goal is to stay protected and move on and have capital for the next play. So ideal situation is something like this, right? Comes down, gets a bounce, comes down, gets another bounce, comes down, gets a bounce, maybe even fizzles out and hangs around here, gets a bounce. Something like this is super ideal. That is like the A+ scenario. That's not going to happen every time, but by doing this, right, you're able to So the way Meteor works, when it goes down into your range, you start collecting fees in the token. So initially you're going to get fees in PFP as it comes down. When it gets a bounce, you get fees in Solana. Goes down, you get fees in PFP. Up, fees in Solana. So theoretically, if it did something like this forever, theoretically you would get unlimited money. That's never going to happen. But you can kind of see that you want a lot of activity in your pool before it goes up. However, you might get a lot of fees, right? Let's say it does something like this, comes up and comes down, comes up and kind of fizzles out like this. Here is actually a very good place to sell. And I know it's easy to say that in hindsight, but you should kind of realize when a good exit has presented itself. Even if it does something like this and comes down, if you get all of this movement, you're not probably going to take either you're not going to take a very big loss or you're not going to take a loss at all. You're going to be able to kind of get out carefree, but it is going to suck because if something like this happened and you were still in it at this point, you could have gotten out for way more money here. But that's just, I can't really teach that. That's something that you're going to find out with experience. But if you can kind of be aware of the situations and where you're going to be in trouble, and especially if it is doing something like this and it's coming down, at this point right here, you should be getting ready to cut the loss. At this point right here, you should be pretty concerned. You're saying, okay, I need a bounce here, or I'm going to have to get out. Oh my gosh. Alexis, please stop spamming. Joel spinning fish. Yes, I see you. People say trading is gambling. What do you think? So trading is gambling, right? Because you're putting up money and you don't know whether you're going to get a profit or a loss. But the thing with trading, and trading meme coins especially, you can have an edge. You don't have to play every hand you're dealt. I think a good analogy is with poker, because in poker, you're dealt a hand, and you have the decision whether you want to bet on it or not, depending on how good it is, right? If you get dealt pocket aces, of course you should bet on it. But if you get dealt, like 8-7 suited, that's a bit of a more gambly hand. So it's always up to you on what plays you're going to risk your money on. So I would say it's way different in the casino, because the casino, in the classic casino, your odds are always going to be out of your advantage, right? You're always going to have usually less than 50%. In meme coins, in trading, not only are you able to select what plays you're going to take part in or have exposure to, but Meteora also gives you a extremely advantageous platform to trade these on and manage risk on. Like, I am a firm believer that if I was trying to do a 1-to-100 Solana challenge just trading meme coins straight out, I don't think I could have done it. I think the only way, I know for a fact the only way I was able to do it is because Meteora has given this platform to the public. Not to glaze so much. Yo, love to see you, Unk. Thank you, GoPo. Like, who can you trust? It is very hard to find out who you can trust. I will say, I'm not going to lead you astray. You're going to have to manage your own risk if you decide to take part in these plays and put your own money up for risk. But I'm not going to tell you to buy a specific token. The whole goal for the stream is to introduce you to this platform, how to use Meteora, how I've been able to grow this account. But yes, very hard to trust people. A lot of people are out there to steal your money. That is not what I or anyone else on the Meteora team is about. They are trying to level up the liquidity provision game, bring the market maker tools into the hands of the people. Is that 17K what you have? The 17K you see here is what I have in the portfolio. These are all my open positions. Some of them are actually cooked. For example, streamer, I'm out of range. Kind, I'm out of range. I really shouldn't be, but you can see 17K, and then I have 5.88K worth of unclaimed fees. The reason I don't claim my fees instantly is because I don't like tracking it in the app, and also when you claim the fees, it is going to pop up. When you claim the fees on Meteora, you can see the previous fees I've earned, right? When you withdraw them, it's going to calculate the value at the current price. So it gets a little bit harder to track when you withdraw them instantly. That's why I usually keep everything in the pool for the time being, and then when I'm ready to get out the position, whatever, I just withdraw and sell. Look at USCR, they're gonna LARP it as Trumps. Oh boy. Okay, so someone in the chat is saying that USCR is going to be the next TikTok rug. We might as well look at it because I trust this guy. And I'm just curious to see what they might start trying to push. USCR, if it's what? Oh, it was launched on a dynamic pool on Meteor. Interesting. But what do? Okay, we can get into a lesson, getting more specific. What do TikTok marketing coins look like? And this might be kind of a niche subject, but I'm gonna go back to Dogecoin. And I don't mean to say that I'm right all the time, but everyone and their mom was coming in my chat shilling this token. And I was looking at it right here on this day, and I'm saying, there is no way. It has run to 70 mil. This is a completely marketed token. They are going to take this thing to zero. It actually did have some survival power. It rugged and had another pump, but as you can see, eventually goes to zero with nothing really happening. This was the first TikTok marketing token that I really realized. Next was Rizoween. I'm sure if you're in the LP Army chat, you might be like, "What the hell are these tickers?" Don't worry, they're just marketing tokens. So they all have something in common. They all have the marketing run, and then they all have the one point where they are ready to pull the plug on it. Someone's going to clip a massive amount on your head, as you can see on Rizoween and on Dege. So anyways, that's kind of what TikTok marketing tokens look like. Very, very coordinated marketing schemes, and then they obviously take it to zero. Rizoween wasn't as bad as Dege. Same team as that coin. I told you. Silent, tell me I'm not onto something here. But interesting. Thank you guys in the chat. I'm not able to look at TikTok chat as much because I'm live through the LP Army YouTube, and I'm trying to just provide content relating to people who might know a little bit about what's going on. But I appreciate you guys being so active and asking all these questions. Anyways, I'm not sure why we're looking at this. This is not something I'm going to touch. We'll probably get back to that example later, so we're going to keep that open. PFP is not cracking as hard as we may have anticipated, but like I said, these things do take time. Unfortunately, if you're tuning in and you're just from boot camp and you are looking to make profits quickly, I used to be more of a degen and entering newer pools and trying to farm the fees, because this is the thing. Back at this time last year, you could judge plays based off. You could judge your RR, your risk reward on plays based on the fee generation, because the fee generation on some newer coins used to be so dang high that it didn't make sense to not be in it. Like literally, like it could rug 50% and it would still pay you such good fees. So back in the day, in this time last year, I was entering way newer pools, getting in and getting out. But my strategy since then has changed very heavily. I try to just stay for a longer period of time in tokens that have good narrative, have a good community, have strong social presence. Social presence is something I speak about a lot. And it's basically just how viral the meme is. You know, virality of the meme is something that you can always fall back on in terms of having, you know, some support. Okay, but I will take a look at the chat. No, Degen and USC are the same. All I know, all K is super legit. Not gonna lie. Amber said he's gonna make a bunch of videos flooding. Will the fees get better if the trenches heat up again? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. I'm not sure if they're ever going to return to quite how good they were last year, because keep in mind, at this time last year, Pump AMM was not a thing. It was literally only Radium and Orca and some Meteor dynamic pool launches. But back in the day, there were not that many dynamic pool launches. Like, I think Loose was one. I'm trying to think of some other ones. But yeah, like there was no Pump AMM. Their fees were way better. The fees will get better, and playing newer tokens will get much more viable if the trenches heat up again. But yeah, right now they're not all the best, in my opinion, in my experience. I know I have LP friends that still cook on very new pairs, get in and get out, and that's really all I used to be about. But I haven't found profitability doing that, so. Keycat. Bro, Keycat? Isn't Keycat like a super OG meme? I feel like... Oh, the base one. I guess it was always on base. Was this not... This was like a altcoin Sherpa shill, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways. Oh, you launched a new one on Soul. Jeez. Alright, Silent. I'll link up with you later. I can't look at... I don't want to be looking at too many new pairs right now, just because that's not what the stream is necessarily focused on. I'll try to find the one on Soul real quick, though. I don't see it. I don't see it. LP Army guys on YouTube, do we have any current questions? I guess I can go over the strategy again shortly, or my main strategy that I use. Cap is interesting for sure. This probably warrants a bid, just a wide one. It can't really hurt if you do something and set it up very wide. So I guess we can set something up on this. Why not? Might as well do it for the stream, right? Might as well. So Keycat, I mean not Keycat. Bet. On this, it's not something I have 100% confidence in. I'm a little bit less confident in it than PFP, for example. But I don't think this is going to rug to 100k. I think setting up a range to 500k is probably ideal. Something like this. I think you should be pretty protected because it's very, very possible, and a lot of coins have been doing this recently, that they kind of fizzle. They get a little bounce, they fizzle, they get a little bounce and fizzle. This is something that can very, very easily happen. And like I said, I'm going to keep repeating it. Going wide range protects you in this situation. It's not going to protect you entirely. Very, very still possible that this thing can go out of your range, even if you set it up very wide. But you're going to have time to react. That is what matters. It's Keycat with the $sign in the front. Hawking. I might as well look at some of these. We're going to go back to Cap and setting a position on Cap, but I might as well just see what we're getting shelled in TikTok, because I actually do find some solid tokens from you guys. Okay, it was about Stephen Hawking dropping in on a half pipe. I think it was an AI video. It's not a bad meme, but the thing about this is, right? The only thing I'm going to FUD about this is that it's funny, but you have to keep in mind on how viral the meme is and is going to stay, right? Because this is a funny video, but is it going to have social presence? And are people going to be talking about it in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days from now? 6, 7. 6, 7 days from now. Because it's very possible that it's something that goes viral and then fades off and no one talks about it. And I'm going to give you a good example of another coin that did something similar. What was it? White Ski or something? Brewski. The white face Drewski. This was something that got insane volume. It actually didn't go that high. It only went to 3 mil. But it got insane volume. The chart was looking very, very good. But you have to keep in mind, even though it was a good meme, it was going viral, there was no social attention to keep it in the eyes of the public. Conversely, something like 6-7, which is a meme that is not a specific picture or idea, but something, or it's not a specific picture, but it's an idea that lingers in the public that is going to be continued to be talked about. You can see the difference in meme quality there, and I hate to kind of get into you know, the meme science, but you just have to think about, are people going to find this funny, and are people going to still be talking about this? Because you can see very viral, and then literally died because like it was a one and done. And I made a YouTube I had a clip about this on my TikTok, but same kind of deal with the streamer coins. Sorry, Silent. You know, people think Brian Armstrong launched it. Silent, you know I'd be more interactive, but I'm just trying to give content for the LP Army Discord YouTube, so I'm not responding too much. So I'm going to give you my take on the streamer tokens and what you can learn from the streamer tokens. So we're going to look at some of the main ones real quick. Bagwork. Yikes, this thing is just not looking good, yo. Wow. Wow. This thing faded off to nothing. Do they still go live? Actually, I want to keep that open. I want to keep that open too. Bagwork, Kind, FTP. This made the pump folio. We got distracted from the from setting up the cap, but we will do it tonight. I just want to give an example real quick. Bagwork. What was the other one? FTP. And then what was the 101-year-old grandma? So, and Cancer. We can bring up Cancer. That's a very, very good example. So I think this is actually going to be a pretty valuable lesson that I have learned. So something about these streamer tokens. Obviously, we saw the rise and fall of streamer tokens. What was the 101-year-old grandma? Yes, this is it. Okay, perfect examples here. So, when we are talking about meme coins, and specifically the live streamer tokens, you have to keep in mind that they have novelty at the beginning, right? Going back to it, grandma, 101-year-old grandma. Very, very cool concept because, like, who do you know that's 101 years old, right? Went massive pump up to 2 mil. Comes back down, has another kind of release bounce, ends up dying. Why did it die? Because the 101-year-old grandma was what caused the initial pump. That first idea of, oh, it's a very old grandma on Pump Fun Live, that's what caused the pump. But after the first, second, third day, what is there on that stream to bring people back? Are they actually tuning back in because they resonate with the grandma and whatever content is going on? Or did they just buy it because it was the first 101-year-old streaming on Pump Fun and they thought that it was going to go up very quickly because it's new, right? Loses its novelty very quickly. Same thing with Cancer. As sad as this story is about him getting drained from the creator fees, right? He is Cancer. Help me beat Cancer, right? Novelty. Instant pump attention. He gets drained. Everyone sends it way higher, right? Then after that, the narrative is gone, right? He still has Cancer, unfortunately. But what is he doing on stream that is going to bring viewers and investors or traders back into the coin? Nothing really. It loses its novelty very, very quickly. Now, on something like FTP, who knows where this is going to go, but you can see this thing rugged and has had a bit of a bounce because they are continuing to do their stream. They are bringing people back. The idea hasn't completely faded like the novelty of Cancer or 101-year-old grandma coin is going to have, right? These things are novel at the beginning, lose very quickly. I'm actually shocked. I thought Bagwork would have had a better reaction recently, but maybe they're not streaming. Who knows what happened with this one? I actually haven't done my research. I'm not a part of this, but I thought that it might have some legs because the people that are going live are still doing the same thing. So I know this was supposed to be more of a Meteor stream and pool stream, but by understanding how tokens work and how social attention with the coins work in general, you can position your plays way better around them. How long did the challenge take you, bro? It took me a little bit a little bit under a year. I started on August 1st of last year, and I finished on like July 20th or something like that. So, I took a bad loss on Kitty recently. That was -4 soul, and then some other positions I lost a few more. So unfortunately, portfolio is not all-time high. My all-time high was 126 soul before the great rug, but we're still doing it. Obviously, the good thing about having the experience that I have is that I know no matter what loss I take, as long as it's not completely catastrophic, like 20 or 30 soul or 10 soul, as long as the loss isn't completely catastrophic, I can just go back to being patient, waiting for the plays that I know very well, and yep, just waiting, not forcing any trades, and that is really how you're able to grow an account. How long have we been live? 81 minutes. Wow. Okay, so we're going to try to continue on for about another 30. Any LP Army viewers have any questions about what strategies we're doing? It can be anything at all. I've kind of gone over what we might be looking at. This thing, we might as well bid it, right? You might as well, just for the stream's sake. So we're going to go to pools. We copied the contract address. TikTok chat, I promise I will be more active. But just as of right now, we are trying to focus on just people who kind of know what they're doing. There's already so much TVL in this pool. That is insane. 350k. How much is in it on PFP? About the same. Okay. I guess the 24-hour fee is still not very bad, but it's just so diluted. There's so many people in this pool, but we might as well. We're just going to see what happens, and then we can check back in tomorrow and see if anything has taken place on it. That's fine for me. We'll just go ahead and enter that 90% range. 5 soul bid ask. Can you explain the price range in bins to market cap, please? Good question, Radish. Sorry, I really haven't been paying attention. But bins to market cap. So you are just going to, in terms of like -90%, you can just calculate -90% of the current market cap. So for example, it's just basically, 0.09 whatever times the current market cap is going to be what the bottom of your range is. But if you want to get even more exact, and this is maybe a trick that some people who are starting to use Meteor don't know, when you enter a position, or before you enter a position, actually, it is going to have the price in Solana at the bottom. Meteor, if you're in a token to Solana pool, it's going to denominate it in Solana. So, for example, you can see 14216. This is obviously has another 0 in it, as you can see by the scientific notation. So it's 5142416. So what you're going to do, if you want to map this out on the chart, is instead of having market cap, right? This is roughly what the range is. But if you want to be exact, go to price, flip it to Solana. Now you're going to have the exact correspondence on Meteora to your pool. So right? 149 to 160. 160 is going to be the top, so right here is the start of my range. We're going to put a line, and then what did we say? 149. Very, very low. But keep in mind, this is going to pay off and protect us. Because I can't tell you how many times I've set something up like this. I wake up the next day. I'm trying to get it really exact. Come on, 149, 149. So do you see how we mapped it out on the chart? That's close enough, 147. Now you can see that these two price ranges are mapped out on the chart and correspond exactly to the range that Meteor is giving us. Very, very common recently that I've woken up and seen a chart just do this overnight. Literally eliminated half of the range in one night. We are trading on Meteor. Is it like grid trading? I'm not entirely sure what grid trading is, but I'm going to say probably not. But yes, we are trading on Meteor. We are looking at charts on Dex Screener, and we 99.9% of the time are entering liquidity pools on Meteor, which is how we are allowed to profit so consistently. I'm sorry, guys. We've actually kind of gone over a good amount of what I wanted to cover today. We've touched on the risk management lessons. We've touched on the very, very basic strategy of how I usually play things in these market conditions, which is just going minus 90%. I know it seems like nothing special, but coin selection is our number one emphasis, and this is what is going to set you apart in terms of being profitable and not profitable. If you can choose the right place to be in, that is always going to be the hardest thing. And above that, honestly, above coin selection, the number one thing that is going to keep you profitable is being able to manage your risk and cut losses when you need to cut losses. How do I buy the coin on Meteor to add liquidity? So, Radish, good question. We are not. You can buy the token and enter a liquidity pool on Meteor, but you have to keep in mind when you are buying something and you want to put it in, that is something A, I don't do very often, and B, when you're entering a position, let's say I want to put in 0.1 and $23. Okay, right. So if you wanted to make it two-sided, you would have to buy tokens and put them in on this side. This sets up sell, you can think about them as sell limit orders above the current price, right? But usually, the problem with buying a token and entering in two-sided is that if the token drops from here, the tokens that you bought are just going to depreciate, especially if they don't go up at all and get into this range to collect fees. Let's say you buy something, set it up, and the price just goes down. You're basically just losing value on what you bought, which is why usually we just go one-sided. We just put in Solana, which acts as only putting in buy limit orders. This is going to protect you. Ega, thank you. Do you look for tokens that are going to dip or that you think will still go up? So, Ethan, good question. I'm looking for tokens that I think have a chance to go down, but also are eventually going to come back up, at least a bit. Like, for example, on this, we can get rid of some of these drawings. Actually, we're going to keep some of them because that's going to be our range. So, for example, this thing, I don't know. This is a very strong meme. I don't know if it's going to go straight up from here, right? If it does something like this, then I'm not going to participate in any of... I'm not my pool that I entered is not going to get touched. I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to gain anything. But my hope is that it does something like this, comes back down, has a little bit of a bounce, maybe finds a bottom in here somewhere or support. hangs around, and then ends up coming back up. That's really what we want to happen. But obviously that's not going to happen all the time. We can also get away with, let's say it dumps super hard and just has one bounce like to here. At this bounce, you should be able to get out for profit. And usually I'm going to tell most people that if something like this happens, you should just go ahead and get out and take your profit, move on to the next one. You can lose money if it comes down, doesn't really have a bounce, and fizzles out to basically zero. This is how you get wrecked really hard doing this. And it's happened to me. I'm telling you guys that you need to get out and sell once it gets out of range, but you know me, like human error, there's going to be times where you just really believe that a token is going to bounce. It's not going to happen. So you want to avoid that situation as much as possible. So I think we actually got some decent lessons. They might be like a lot of what you guys already know if you are into DLMMing, but I'm going to keep repeating it. The number one takeaway that I want you guys to have is that minus 50%. Here, I'm going to give you guys another lesson real quick, right? I'm going to show you something. Percentages are not always what they seem. If you've been trading for a while, you know this, but let's say coin goes down 50%, right? Minus 50%. It is going to require a 100% move to get back to where it was when it dropped 50%. So negative percentages can be very deceiving, because once they get down to the minus 80, minus 75% level, it starts getting very scary. I'm going to show you something. Let's do price range, right? Let's get on to 50%. Let me show you this, right? This is minus 50%. And actually, let's do it in market cap so we can see it a little bit better. Oh, wait. I just screwed that up. My bad. All right. Yeah. This is going to be easier. So, ready? 3.5 mil down to 1.7 mil is obviously minus 50% down, right? That makes sense. Do you want to see what another minus 50% looks like? Watch this. Another minus 50% is going to be at 800K. Do you see how, let's say you set up your range from here to here, only minus 50% down. As soon as it gets out of your range, it can very easily drop another 50%. That means your initial position, whatever you're risking, is now you're out of range and you're not collecting fees, but you're getting cooked even harder because it just dropped another 50%. You want to know what another 50% looks like? It can easily happen. I've seen this happen a million times. Okay, so now another 50%, we're officially out of range. We're now at 400K. Look at this, right? Minus 50% moves all the way down. Watch this. From here to here, 100%. So do you see how it drops 50%? The same move up is going to be 100% on the long side. Watch this. Ready? What's here to here? So 2 minus 50% moves equal 300% to the upside. Right? 3 minus 50% moves in a row equal, I don't even want to know what the number is going to be, 800% to the upside. Do you guys see how this works and how, let's say you set up a range down 75%, which is 2 50% moves. Keep in mind, 2 50% moves on top of each other are going to be minus 75%. That's just how the math works. But when you're setting up a range, you don't really think about that. You think about 2 50% moves stacked on top of each other. You think about maybe, oh, it's down 50%, another 50%, it's down 100%. Wrong. It's only down 75%. And watch this, right? 3 50% moves is going to be down to 87%. So you have to keep this in mind. You really have to keep this in mind, because it's going to make it a lot easier. You're going to be way more comfortable setting up wider ranges and not maybe gathering all of the fees close to current price if you know how quickly it can go wrong. Conversely, right, minus 87% down requires an 800% move to get back to the top. So you just have to keep that in mind. You have to keep in mind how hard it is for something to go up and how easy it is for something to go down. That is something that if you can grasp that concept and just be aware of it, because the candlesticks are going to be deceiving sometimes when they're going down. This candlestick, in terms of how long it is, down here is going to be way more traumatic than it is if it's up here at 3 mil. So you see the giggle candle on KeyCat? I did not. Here, I'm gonna look at everything once I get off, I promise. So you basically got 3 mil right now? No, I do not have 3 mil. I've read PFP from 105k to now, sold half around 6.5 mil. How should I manage the current trade? How should I manage the trade current bag 25? I'm not sure what you mean by 25, but very good trade on PFP, bro. I sold a lot around 4 mil, so I'm not as good as you. Sleaze, I'm glad you took something with that. Silent, I promise. I'm gonna look at everything. Just I can't right now. So how do I use this information to benefit? So we have been discussing all night my strategy when I'm entering liquidity pools on Meteora. That's why I'm saying, when, like, let's say the default range in a 100 bin pool, which is usually what you're going to be dealing with, 100 bin step pool. The default range is usually going to be minus 50%. This is not very wide, at least on most coins. So keep in mind, like the example I just gave you, when you go minus 75%, you're now covering 2 minus 50% moves. Way wider. When you go 87%, you're covering 3 minus 50% moves. And then 90, you can only get more and more protected. So that's kind of, that was the reason for going over that kind of thing. I resonate, President. I can't say it online, but I resonate. I'm so glad. Sleaze, as long as you were the one person that gained something from that, like, I'm glad, because that is a very, very valuable lesson to know. We're coming up on 100 minutes. I probably... Oh, we just got one more viewer on YouTube. Hello. Welcome to the stream. We've gone over most of the lessons that I wanted to cover today. Hopefully on next week's stream we will be having a lot more to go over, but there's just not too many runners, unfortunately. PFP, Cap is really the newer ones that we're focusing on. I still have my eyes on some older coins like Hutch, for example. And none of these are shills, by the way. I don't expect you to go ahead and join, but I'm just showing you how I operate, what I'm looking at each day. Yeah. Shore is not. It doesn't look bad. I was a little bit sketch, just on whoever launched this, but could have one of those longer surviving periods. You know, just with all of the AI videos that are going viral right now. And then this is a good example because this is something that has very good price action. It looks very appealing for an LP. Good price action, good volume, but I don't resonate super hard with the meme. And when I'm recently, like I said, at this time last year, I didn't really care about the quality of the meme. Obviously, if it was good, that was more bonus points, but I was mostly chasing volume. Back then, I was chasing volume and feed generation. Nowadays, I'm chasing whether I can stay in a meme, and I want to have confidence in the meme that it's not going to rub to zero, right? And even if this ends up running higher and giving more volume, and it might have been a good pool to be in, I don't care because this doesn't check off the list, right? This is not something that I'm going to get into. Just because of the meme, right? It's just the 1000th dog coin meme that I've seen, right? We want something original. We want something new. We want something fresh. Like the PFP. Cap is actually starting to go down. We can keep an eye. You can see I am $2 in range, 5 cents in fees. That's not terrible. Obviously, nothing compared to what the fee generation we used to get, but you can't complain. That's not awful. And one thing I will say, a good rule of thumb if you're just starting to LP, is that 10 cents, if you get 10 cents in fees for $1 in range, that's very, very good fee generation. Usually you're not going to get that nowadays. 6 cents for 250, it's not the best, it's not the worst. I'm not going to complain super hard for this current fee generation. It could speed up, it could slow down, but just as a good rule of thumb, if you're getting $1 for the $10 you're in range, very, very good pool generation. But I haven't seen that in a while, and that's usually going to require you to be in more risky. Bro, Elon Musk posted our meme. Silent. Anyone know if it's possible to get Solana back from my failed transactions? You shouldn't be spending Solana on failed transactions. So Kanye just provided one-side LP. So technically one could launch a coin and provide LP with no Solana. Nick, yes. Oh my gosh, it's Nick. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what Kanye... I don't think Kanye did it, but Kanye's team, that's exactly what they did. They literally set up a one-sided LP with like millions worth of Yeezy token, and they literally pumped it and made bank on what they knew was coming. So yep, that's exactly what they did. Very interesting. I haven't even looked at the Kanye token in a while. We might as well. I'm curious to see what it did. Yeah, wait. Yeah, and like the thing was, it's like they said they have it says there's $60 million worth of liquidity. Brother, I'm pretty sure when you look at the pool, here, we can actually look at it. Where's the pair? Look, they have $10 million. I mean, that's still a lot of liquidity, to be fair. But they have 10 million in USDC, and they have 51 million of Yeezy token. So, like, on the chart, right, they have 9 mil here, and then they just have a ton of upside liquidity. Like, it's really not 60 million in liquidity when you consider that, whatever, 70% of it is stacked to the upside at maybe very abstract price valuations. Like, so yes. Did you really run one soul to 100? I did indeed. No Twitch div. It's because I'm live on LP Army. I'm live on the LP Army YouTube. If you guys want to go hang out in here, that's actually super cool too. Because I'm not subscribed. I'm sorry. I'm also not on my normal account. But yep, we're live on the LP Army YouTube. We've had some good, not all that much engagement, but obviously some good questions from people that know what they're doing. If you're tuned in on this channel, you probably should have some sort of idea on how DLMMs work. Shark has not tuned in. Nick, I can't do a BTC fib analysis. We're trying to focus on just Meteor since I'm live on their channel right now. Silent. I'm sorry. I know you've probably been dropping some alpha, but I just haven't been paying attention. Just if you can DM me, I'll get back to you. I'm gonna go for a run, but I'll be on in a bit if you're doing a late one tonight. Brother, it's already late. I'm probably gonna end up cutting off the stream soon, just because I think we've gone over some good lessons for the LPers, Dude, look at all of these coins. I mean, these are all streamer coins to be fair, but like, ugh. Yeah, I actually just went to zero besides FDP, really. So Cap is having more of a dip. This is actually a little bit more interesting. We're getting some sort of motion on the chart after me just yapping all day, but hopefully you guys learned something from this. You trade on Axiom? Not really. 99.9% of the time I'm trading through the Meteora liquidity pools. Man said it's late, like his usual ain't a 3 a.m. stream. You're right. It's because I've been trying to really focus on education and my strategies tonight. I feel like I'm a little bit more gassed out than usual. We'll give it like 4 more minutes. We can cut it off at 1 a.m. And I'll just wait to see if anyone in the YouTube or TikTok chat has any more questions. Why are you wearing a bulletproof vest, by the way? Because even though Meteor allows us to protect ourselves and manage risk in a very, very unique fashion, there's still always the possibility for catching stray bullets on some of these meme coins. So that is the reason we are trying to stay even more protected, even though we do have such a good platform for protecting ourselves. He says deep shit. That was off the dome. I usually have one of 3 answers I give. I'll catch you next stream. Get on tomorrow or some for the Twitch. I got you, Div. Do you have any recommendations for beginners to learn flipping a small meme coin portfolio like One Soul? The best advice I can give you is to learn how to use Meteora. This is what my channel focuses on. You can feel free to look through my content that I've put out. I have some YouTube videos that show you how to enter a pool, how liquidity provision works. You can also feel free to go on LP Army TV on the YouTube right here. I'll show it real quick. LP Army TV, this is what I'm live on. I'm going to be going live every Monday, just to give some advice to those that might know what they're doing. But if you go on LP Army, follow their Twitter on Twitter, enter the Discord. They have boot camps where completely free boot camps are going to teach you how to go from 1 to 100. That is also what my stream is for, but Meteor just does everything very well. They have great resources, great people that are there to help you out. So if you want to learn their software, I recommend looking at Meteora, LP Army. How does Meteor differ from Axiom? Not a bad question. So Axiom is a platform to execute your orders, right? Usually on Axiom, unless you're using a limit order, most people are going to use market orders, right? In the market, in any market at any given time, there are makers and takers, right? A maker is someone who sets up the limit orders. The taker is someone who's using a market order to go and take from whatever limit order. So for example, right, in meme coins, there are going to be many different liquidity pools for a token, usually. You can have the Pump AMM, which is the Pump Fund liquidity pool. You're going to have Radium, and you're going to have Meteora. There's also Orca, but let's just keep it to 3 examples here, right? Each of these different liquidity pools have both Solana and the token, Solana and the token, Solana and the token. And they are basically sitting there waiting for buyers and sellers to interact with them. They're waiting for either buyers to give up their Solana to get the token, or they're waiting for sellers of the token to put tokens into the liquidity pool and extract Solana out. So buying and selling, right? These 3 liquidity pools are makers, right? Because they have the liquidity set there for whatever market participants come in. On Axiom, you are usually going to be the maker. You're usually going to be executing orders, and they're going to be routing through some of these pools. Jupiter, which you must be familiar with or may not be, Jupiter is an aggregator. Jupiter searches between different liquidity pools and finds the best routing and the cheapest way for your order to get filled with a minimal price impact. So, how does this differ? On Meteora, you are depositing your liquidity and you are becoming the maker. You are becoming the market maker. By doing this, people who swap within your pool are going to be paying you a fee to use your liquidity. So on Meteora, right? I'll give you an example here. On Troll. Here I'm in range. Below the current price are my buy orders, technically. Each of these little bins function as their own little individual buy orders. Above this are sell orders. Each of these bins act as a little bin of a little bit of tokens that are being sold at that are being sold at a certain price. When a price interacts, right, this pool, this price only moves when market orders come into play. So let's say someone is like, oh, I have 50 SOL. I'm going to buy market order, and I am willing to take whatever slippage. Slippage is the fee you pay based on the difference in price, right? Because there might not be enough liquidity at one specific price. This is getting very deep into it. I'm trying not to make it super complicated, but let's say someone on Troll apes in 50 SOL. This is going to move the price a little bit. So let's say price goes to 616, right? So the next 2 bins up is 616. That means that these sell orders are going to get bought. They're going to get swapped by whatever market order comes in. By doing that, whoever is placing that order is going to pay a slight fee in this case, and that is how you collect fees on Meteor. That's what makes it different than Axiom. Yo, can help. I can't find any video on that. Yes. So my TikTok is mostly centered around Meteor and how Meteor works, but you can also go to I'll pull up meteor.ag real quick. So Meteor is the platform. This is their official Twitter account. Feel free to join the Discord, LP Army, Meteor Discord. Bunch of helpful people in there. You can sign up for a boot camp. You can get very, very in depth. You can feel free to even go to their website, which is meteor.ag. And if you are the nerdy type and want to read a lot, feel free to go to their docs. You can go into DLMM and you can read all about really the intricacies on how they work. But as far as getting into it, feel free to look at my channel, my TikTok, my YouTube, and feel free to follow them on Twitter. Look at join their Discords, and that is really how you're going to be able to learn the best. But have you also ran 1 SOL to 100 in Axiom before? I have not been able to do that. I'm actually like not the best flat out meme coin trader. Great, clear and easy explanation. Ben, thank you. That means so much to me. I'm so glad that I was able to explain it, because sometimes I get caught up in my head and I don't know if I'm actually explaining it. By the way, thank you for all the gifts, guys. I really appreciate that. Mighty Grip, no, I have not ran 1 SOL to 100 in Axiom. Back in the day, beginning of January 2024, I ran up a pretty big stack. A little bit over, I don't know, like 80 Solana. Back in the day, just trading flat out. I was using like Telegram bots to trade. That's just how it was. It was way easier back in the day. Bro is huge. Thank you, Zay. Oh, I follow you. I recognize you, Zay. I'm trying, dude. But thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. But anyways, I'm going to, I think, cut off the stream. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you guys for all of the questions. Probably not likely. Yes, undisclosed. Give me a follow. JBouse question mark. Okay, I'm gonna cut off the LP Army stream. If you guys are here viewing on YouTube, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part. I know we didn't get all that engagement, but if you learned something, that is really the goal. I hope all of you guys are able to be profitable on Solana DLMMs, Meteora DLMMs. It's not super complicated. If you take one thing away from this channel, from this stream today, it is coin selection is key. As of right now, coin selection is key. Make very wide ranges, because you can see minus 87% corresponds to 3 minus 50% moves down. That is one thing I want you guys to realize. And also, you need to manage your risk. If you go out of range, 99% of the time, the best option is to just cut your loss and move on. That is all I really want to give you guys before heading out. So anyways, thank you. Feel free to tune in next Monday. We're going to do something similar. Hopefully we have some better tickers to review. There's not too much going on right now, but as far as that goes, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you